What is going on out there, peeps? All right, man, let's talk about the Iraqi dinar. You can tell whenever something's posted in the news. They've been talking about the rate change for a while now, all right? I mean, I'm talking about the news, which is unusual because usually don't hear very much about it. So I knew something was going on in the news. I could see all the posts, some people in panic mode, some people not. I decided to take a peeky poo. Let's cover it. You guys know if you're thinking about buying precious metals, and you should, go check out our friends over at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free half ounce of silver. For those of you who wanted to mail me something, there you go. That's my address. Just pause it. I've had several people do it. I've been reluctant to post the address. But for those of you, somebody said they got a t-shirt, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. You guys know I got the other website. It's called Hanging with Pimpy. It's the Pimpy's News Network. Make sure when you sign up, you choose. It's $3 a month. There's other options. Just understand that you could pay higher if you want to, but it's the same access all the way around. But all proceeds go to Finding Life's Purpose Foundation. When you're done, click up right here where it says video, and it'll take you to all of the videos. Okay, you guys know this. I got Pimpy's Investment Chat. Same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. I encourage you to come join us. It's free to do so. All right, let's get into this because right off the get-go, we thought this stuff was already ironed out. And then all of a sudden, you see an article that makes it look like that's not quite possible. The president of the region calls on Baghdad to stop the old rhetoric. We can resolve the differences definitively. Okay, so what happened? I thought all this was ironed out. The president of the Kurdistan region, Barzani, confirmed on Sunday the possibility of resolving the existing differences between Baghdad and Erbil definitively, if there is a political will on both sides. I agree. This comes in a speech by Barzani during a graduation ceremony for students of the American University of Kurdistan. In the presence of senior officials speaking about the relations between Baghdad and Erbil, Barzani said the relations between the two sides should be improved and the old rhetoric should be stopped and resorting to the Constitution to solve outstanding problems. Yeah, that seems to be a problem with all countries. People just not paying attention to their Constitution. We know that's happening a lot here in the United States. We must preserve our initial unity, our internal unity, as it is the only guarantee for all to stand up to these challenges. Let's get it together here. So, here's the thing. When Barzani and Al-Kadhimi sit down to talk, it's hard not to feel optimistic. They seem like they've ironed everything out. What happens after those talks, I'm not sure. So here's the issues, because people keep asking about them, but they do say this time. The files at center of constitutional dispute, most notably is Article 140 of the disputed areas and Article 110 of the oil and gas laws. For those who want to know what the disputed areas are, those are the individuals, these are the places in which they're going to be responsible for the relocation of people who were displaced out of their homes when ISIS took over. 110 is the oil and gas, as well as contentious issues about the oil policy between the two parties, which began to falter clearly in 2014, especially the oil and salary mechanisms, including Kurdistan's regional share of the federal financial budget. That already was included in theirs. It's in their constitution. What has changed? How did Iraq's foreign debt become almost dead? Al-Kadhimi's advisor loves. Okay, so what happened is, I was telling you about this a while back that Dr. Shabibi was with the president at the time, or the prime minister at the time, and the World Bank and IMF wanted them to jump aboard this thing called the Paris Agreement. They would forgive a huge chunk of the debt if these people signed aboard. The issue was, and this is why Dr. Shabibi had a fit, you see, they wanted you to follow the World Bank and IMF's monetary policy. When Dr. Shabibi looked it over, I told you about this. He was pissed. He said, yeah, this is great for bringing down inflation, but it does nothing to help with the economic growth of the Iraqi people. What he noticed is that it would keep things so cheap that the so-called globalist people could come in there and pretty much rape Iraq of the resources and do it with cheap labor. So he was not a fan of it, but he turned around and signed it anyways. And because of this, they were able to have a lot of their debt forgiven. It goes on here, talks about all the countries involved. You can see right here, signing the Paris Club Agreement is what happened. That was back in 2004. So yeah, a big chunk of it was gone. Not all of it. We know that. So for the most part, he's saying that nobody's brought it up. Nobody said anything about it. We're all good. So they said the club undertakes the task of restructuring the sovereign debt of countries, relieving the burden of some debt, and even canceling some of them. But that's this thing, this whole Paris Club. It's a good old boys club. It is a New World Order agenda for those of you who know about that, or the cabal, or the black hats, whatever you want to call them. Parliament financing sending $200 billion to the region, a governmental proposal that has not yet been implemented. Nice. The Parliamentary Finance Committee confirmed on Sunday that no decisions has been issued so far regarding sending $200 billion to the region. Committee members stated information agency that there is no official implementation from the government until today by sending the 200 billion dinar, but only endeavors and suggestions. The region's dues are more than 200 billion per month, but we do not know where this money goes, how it is spent, or whether it is within the region's operational budget. Why does it matter over there? That's not up to them to decide. The 2021 budget emphasizes the settling of the accounts between the regions and the federal government and the delivery of radical agreements and understanding of the common crisis. So again, look, this thing, I don't know how they passed the budget because their constitution says they can't pass the budget without this being ironed out. So it's very interesting. Ministry of Finance, we have taken steps to reform the public budget. The Ministry of Finance announced on Sunday the development of necessary steps to reform the public budget systems in accordance with the adoption of the financial and economic reform papers. Those are those white papers. The Ministry of Finance, Alawi, chaired today a meeting to follow up the implementation of the white paper projects in the presence of the Prime Minister's advisors. The meeting dealt with several axes related to the follow-up of the implementation of the projects approved by the white paper, the most important which is the draft reform of the state's general budget strategy, which includes the development of the basic expenditures rules for the budget and investment projects. Remember, investment projects are them just rebuilding things that, rebuilding oil refineries, schools, hospitals, stuff like that. But it puts people to work. Private sector, basically. Anything that could generate money outside of the oil. The finance stated, according to the statement, the mechanisms for designing the investment and current budget were discussed to ensure the financing of projects throughout the implementation stages. So look, they're going ahead and just following up on it like they should. This is a kind of like oversight. I know the part you guys want to talk about is right here. Here we go again. Every 6 months or so, this gets brought up and everybody gets in panic mode. Al-Kademi's financial advisor, deleting the zeros from the currency is an option. He didn't say they're going to do it. It's an option. They did 5 years worth of study. You know what they found out? It's not doable because it affects the poor too much. Now take in consideration, they already devalued the currency. Now you're talking about lopping off the zeros. Now, we're not talking about the rate. Everybody gets this confused. They're talking about taking the zeros off the currency. So 10,000 dinars becomes 10 dinars. People go, oh, that's the rate, Pimpy. No, it's not. Because they have done this before. They have mentioned revaluing the currency by removing the zeros off the rate. So lopping the zeros off of the currency bad. Removing it off the rate, good. They brought this up several times. Study after study shows that this affects the poor in a very, very bad way. So the financial advisor to the Prime Minister, Saleh, on Sunday said 2 conditions for deleting 3 zeros from the currency, while stressing that the deletion option is proposed as part of the strategies for reforming the currency and cash payments in Iraq. You see, if they do this, if they lop off the zeros, people would lose confidence in their currency. You would get pissed off people from countries all over who have invested into the currency. Governments don't have to deal with that. That's what was in the study, saying, deletion of the zeros, that's not something we want to do. Their own local people would lose faith in it. They would not want to use the currency. It's too much for them to adjust to. People would lose faith in it. Other countries would lose faith in it. Their own citizens would have an uproar over, investing in the currency after they're told to. And then you do this. So basically, if you have 5 million in dinars, and if you're lopping off the zeros, 1 zero brings it down to 500,000. 2 zeros brings it down to 50,000. 3 zero brings your $5 million down to $5,000. 5,000 dinars. So, the Central Bank of Iraq developed a project to delete zeros from the Iraq currency in order to reform the cash payment system, which has become burdened with the insomnia of the economic blockade imposed in the 90s. So we know this. An international experience from the end of World War II until the second decade of the 21st century, which took place in various countries, in which the monetary payment system was reformed and made to work with better efficiency, and the last of which is the Islamic Republic of Iran, and before that was Turkey. Turkey's done it several times. The phenomenon of increasing zeros in the monetary unit or adding zeros to a single monetary unit usually comes due to the exposure of economies. So in other words, when there's a super inflation or high inflation, they add the zeros to keep up with this, what they do. So what happens when inflation goes down? They have less than 0.5% of inflation compared to where they were. There's no need to have these big dollars in circulation. We did that with our own currency. We used to have $500 and $1,000 bills. Yep. That's how they dealt with hyperinflation. And because the price means the value of goods and services expressed in cash, the continuous rise in prices without stopping leads to the erosion of the value of the monetary unit, which requires the issuance of large monetary categories due to the lack of value in the smaller monetaries. Yeah, that's why they don't have change there. That's why you don't see small notes. You don't see 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s, 500s, because they have no value. According to the monetary value of things or tangible assets and other inflates, and when inflation ends, according to which prices have increased to 3 decimal places, or more or less according to the nature of each economy, countries resort to reducing the artificial reproduction in numbers, especially in the number of accounts books, budgets, and various numbers of tools accountability after 2 conditions are met. The first condition is their price stability, which they're doing. That's what you're seeing them do right now, trying to stabilize the dinar. And global economic growth. We know they're growing. They have no choice but to go up. And the second, appropriate stability in political life so that the importance of deleting the zeros from the currency and slimming currency units as a necessary condition for reducing the counting numbers and facilitating arithmetic, handling, and the cost of managing new large numbers and the absence of small numbers and fractions, as it is noted, or calculating huge numbers of financial values that are not absorbed by ordinary accounting errors. Is that right? Or ordinary computers due to the large numbers of decimal places. So, 12 decimal places? Yeah. So you guys, look, they talk about this all the time. People always get themselves, their panties in a wad. They talk about this, but there's already been a ton of studies that say this would be big. This would be bigger than when they devalued the currency in the first place. Are they going to do it? There's no way to tell. Most likely not. That doesn't mean I'm right. It's my opinion. They already devalued the dinar. This would be yet another huge blow to the currency itself. People would lose faith in it. Governments would be pissed having to deal with investors around the world. We'll see. But yeah, you guys, they do this. They bring this up at least once every 6 months. The deletion of the zeros. Everybody goes up in arms. Everybody panics. Remember, we don't care too much about what they say. We pay attention to it, but we watch what they do, not what they say. So just hang tough, all right? So that's it for now. Let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. I'll catch you later. I'm out.